Shalom, I'm Rabbi Robin Foonberg, the Director of Education at Congregation B'nai Israel. I'm very proud of our religious school. It is a comprehensive program for grades kindergarten through 12th grade. Our classrooms and our virtual rooms are sacred, safe spaces for our students, where they can study Jewish values, history, tefillah, Hebrew, and holidays.
I love CBI Religious School because it makes learning Hebrew fun and easy.
I like CBI Religious School because I like hanging out with my friends and playing with them.
What I love about our religious school is the relationship between our teachers and our students. They connect and they build community.
Hi, I'm Sherry, and I love teaching at CBI Religious School because I love watching the kids grow in their Hebrew learning, Judaica, and just as kids themselves.
The students are challenged and contribute to the learning environment. The teachers are caring and they encourage critical thinking and creativity. Our students love learning at CBI.
זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכל תבנו בספר החיים, למען לך אלוהים חיים.
Nach die Sachen will ich dir mannen, die besondere, kleinere Hardenot.
To make the old new and the new holy. Ribono Shalom, Master of the universe, it is a celebration tonight.
Hayom, 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 te'amtenu. Amen. Hayom, 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 tevachenu. Amen. Hayom, 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 hayom. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shana Tova, night 2 of Rosh Hashanah, walking to synagogue tonight, looking up in the sky, just a sliver of moon, marking the beginning of a new month, and in this, the month of Tishrei, the beginning of a new year. Our service tonight is a bit shorter, about 45 minutes, with a little bit of including a little bit of a sermon paying tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. An opening greeting by Herschel Matt called To Seek Renewal. Rabbi Herschel Matt is the father of Professor Danny Matt, who many of us have studied with regarding Danny Matt's translation of the Zohar, words from his father. On this night, O God, we have come into your house to pray in your sanctuary. But if the heavens are merely your throne, if the earth is but your footstool, if the heaven of heavens cannot contain you, how much less this house built by mere human hands? Yet, although your dwelling place is every place, and although you can be sought and found in any place, it is to this place that we come most confidently to seek renewal in your purifying presence. Hal Hurwitz and I share with you the Ma'ariv, the evening service for day 2, page 5, the call to prayer.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvorach Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai, our God, ruler of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's divisions, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uben laila. Adonai Tzvaot shemo, El Chai v'kayam, Tamid mochaleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Amari v'Aravi.
Amen.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, v'shokbeinu v'kumeinu, nasiach v'chukecha, v'nismach v'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ihem chayenu v'orech yameinu, Yorech yameinu, bahem neged yomam v'layla. Be'ahavatecha al tasi mimeni l'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai. Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levacha, u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol meyodecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, Asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ug'shartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha Uchtavtam amazuzot beitecha uvisharecha.
בכל לבכם וכל נפשכם ונדעתם בזה גם לא שעשה אותה. נסבת השם.
Adonai Elohechem emet. Umalchuto v'ratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam mi chamocha bo'elim Adonai mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilot Osef eleh Malchutecha ra'u banecha Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe Ze'eli anu ve'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed V'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov U'yalo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Shemo
Gal Yisrael.
Amen. Together, page 9. Allow us, Adonai our God, to sleep peacefully and to waken again to life, our sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel and save us. For the sake of your name, shield us, remove from us enemies and pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings. For you, God, watch over and deliver us, and you are the sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us and over all the people, Israel, over Jerusalem and the whole of creation. Amen.
Ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom, aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Page 10.
Tiku v'chodesh shofar, b'kesel yom chagenu, ki chok liYisrael hu, mishpat le'Elohei Yaakov. Yitgadal v'yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
B'yomad yivrach yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, l'chayechon, u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv, v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach, Le'olam olam me'amaya Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal, Shemei dekudsha v'richu, Le'elah, Le'elah, Mikol bechata b'shirata, Tush bechata v'nechemata, Damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen.
The Amidah is the center of our tefillah, of our evening prayer. It's done privately in the evening, pages 11 to 17. I invite you to use this private time to reflect on the nature of justice and the importance of justice in our communal lives. Pages 11 to 17.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה. ניזכר וניכתב לפניך. אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום ולשלום.
Page 19.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
בעלמא דברה קידותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו.
אמן.
יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, יתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. תתקבל תורון ובהון לכל ישראל קודם בהון דבישמיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
The mask that I'm wearing, honoring Ruth Bader Ginsburg, was a gift from Abby and Kayla Jacobs just a couple weeks ago. They were kind enough to give me 2 of these notorious RBG masks so that I could give one to my wife and one to my daughter, knowing that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was of particular importance to them, and for me too, as a justice who made such a difference in our country, making our nation a more inclusive country. And as Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed last night, just hours before Rosh Hashanah, I wanted to pause as a community tonight to talk a little bit about her, to honor her memory, that her memory should be a source of blessing to all of us. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's focus was on expanding our understanding of the Constitution to include women. You know, when the document was written, and it said that all men had the right to vote, all people had the inalienable right of the pursuit of happiness, it didn't take women into account. It wasn't until the 1920s that women, the suffragette movement, enabled women to also have a right to cast the ballot. When she finished law school at Columbia, having started at Harvard, she tied for first in her class and was not able to get a job in a corporate law firm. As she said, she had 3 strikes against her. She was a woman, she had a child, and she was a Jew. And at that time, some close to 60 years ago, the world was closed to women who wanted to take their place as active participants in our larger world. At that time, there had never been a woman who had served on the Supreme Court. And as an aside, we've never had a woman lead this great nation. She, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, was born in Brooklyn to an immigrant father, Nathan, and a mother who was born with immigrant parents who were only in this country for 4 months when she was born. She grew up with an awareness that she says of herself was somewhat of an outsider. In significant part, she added, because she was a Jew. She was very gifted from an early age, and having seen the documentary and the film that came out in the last couple years, she was blessed to be one of those people that we call a short sleeper. She didn't need to sleep a lot in order to be able to be energized and effective. She met her husband at Cornell as a freshman. He was a sophomore. And he would, because he was a year older, he would start law school at Harvard when they went together to finish up his military responsibilities. And when she revealed to the people who were getting ready to hire her at the government position that she was pregnant, they told her she couldn't have the job they had promised her. Because, a woman wouldn't be reliable. And so she was given more of a cleric position. And after he finished his 2 years completing his military service, he returned to Harvard, and so did she. And while there, she was in a class at Harvard Law School of 500, of which there were 9 women. And the dean pulled them aside and said to them, "Why are you here?" And she said, "Well, my husband is here. He's going to be a lawyer. I want to be able to understand his work." Because in those days, even then, being a student, it was not considered a career that woman would pursue. I know another woman who was in Harvard at about the same time, maybe a few years after, where she told me she was pulled aside with the women in the class, and they were told, if you drop out, any of you drop out, know that next year when we admit new women, we will take into account your unreliability. So keep that in mind, that you have to do your best to represent all women. Quite remarkable that in those days, that a woman would see herself as needing to prove her right to be a student of the law. And as I noted, when she finished, having transferred to New York as her husband had gotten a job in New York, she wasn't able to get a job of her own. She, in the beginning, wanted to teach and got a job at Rutgers, the prestigious universities like Columbia, where she graduated from, and would later hire her. At that point, was not prepared to hire a woman. There were only 12 women in the entire country at that point teaching in a law school. And so she became a professor, and in the course of those years began to work for the ACLU on the side, the American Civil Liberties Union, with a project about women's rights. There she was a leader with 300 cases in which she participated as one of the council, seeking to address this issue, that women should be able to inherit, should have the same privileges of benefits as and access to jobs as men. Of those 300 cases, 6 of them made it to the Supreme Court that she argued, 5 of which she won. And she had a strategy. Her strategy, because she was talking to an all-male court, was not to plead the rights of women, but to plead the rights of men. So in one of her famous cases, there was a man whose wife had died, leaving him with a child. And normally, as the law had been written, a woman who was the widow would be able to inherit a certain amount to continue to raise the child. But a man was not, as the law was written, permitted to get that same kind of support. But in this case, the father, he wanted, with his wife having just died, to take care of their child. And so that became a test case for equal treatment for men with laws that were written to favor a woman. And that was her initial focus, to get the attention that laws that sought even, in some cases, as in that case, to say that women are the fairer sex. They are the ones that need to be protected in a patriarchal context, created not only unfairness to men, but in so many other cases, did not allow women equal access to opportunity. When she was appointed to the court 27 years ago, in her acceptance speech, she spoke about her mother and said, "I only wish that my mother, who was so brilliant and was not able to even go to college, would have had the opportunities that I have to have become a lawyer, a law professor, and now a Supreme Court justice." Her key argument for women's rights was the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. When that was written, some understood it to apply to the franchisement of people of color, of blacks, that they should be treated equally. There could now be racial discrimination. And what she sought and did succeed in conveying is that just like race is a suspect class, so too is gender, and so too are certain handicaps. That when a person is able to do a job, then these externals should not prevent them from equal access. And so among the more famous cases after she reached the Supreme Court, where she wrote a majority opinion, was a Virginia military academy that would only accept men because they said women were not capable physically of keeping up with the demands of the course. To which, in the opinion that she wrote, I believe it was a 7-2 case, which is how things had changed. She was able to say, it's true that not all women are able to compete with men in the same way physically, but that doesn't mean that each woman can't do as well, if not better, than a man. And that if a woman is capable, she should be able to be accepted to that military school. Where she particularly developed her reputation, though, as the notorious RBG, was in recent years writing dissents on the court, writing them with a certain kind of defiance of the majority in certain cases that she felt did not protect the rights of those who needed to vote, who did not necessarily protect the rights of those who were discriminated against. She had on her wall in her office at the Supreme Court the words from our Torah, Tzedek, Tzedek Tirdof, righteousness, righteousness you shall pursue. When she was asked to what degree is being Jewish in form your philosophy of law, she said, what I can say is that those justices who were Jewish who went before me, Brandeis, Cardozo, Frankfurter, Fortas, Goldberg, those justices were identified with taking care of the rights of all people. And I too see myself as bringing equality informed by our tradition of justice and the pursuit of justice to inform all that I do. In one article that I read, it said that after her mother died, she went to say Kaddish and was told that girls don't say Kaddish, women don't say Kaddish. And to some degree, that turned her away from the synagogue. And so in that regard, she wasn't until in recent years when the conservative synagogue in Washington, Addis, gave her and Justice Kagan an invitation to join them for high holidays, which they accepted and came. She wasn't a synagogue goer, but it is recorded that she would not sit on the bench on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, that she felt that she, as a Jew, had a responsibility that prevented her from working in that public role of justice making. And so tonight, as a great American, as a justice who created the trail for women in America to have greater access, equality, and rights, also a yet unfolding process of true equality and access. Ruth Bader Ginsburg endures as a light leading a way, as an inspiration of courage and strength. She was hardly 100 pounds and just 5 feet tall, but such enormous determination. Abraham said to God, "Hashofet kol haaretz lo ya'aseh mishpat?" Will the judge of the earth not do justly? That was the challenge in the Torah to God of Sodom and Gomorrah, that the world as created must have a rules of right and wrong. Justice, justice you shall pursue. Ribono shel olam, Master of the universe. We pause with sadness in our hearts to acknowledge the passing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. With her courage, with her intelligence, she made an impact on all our lives to open our country to enable women's voices, women's opportunity, and women's justice to be pursued. May her blessing, may her life be for a revolution and a blessing. Amen. Kiddush, celebrating the second night of Rosh Hashanah. This is also, by the way, since it's Saturday night, this would be the time we would do Havdalah. But because we're going from Shabbat, we don't have a candle, because technically, although on Rosh Hashanah, on Chag, you're allowed to transfer fire from one place to another, you're not allowed to light a match and to kindle. And so in that regard, we do Kiddush as our act of Havdalah. There are also no spices, as there would be normally on a Saturday night, in that we're going from Kodesh to Kodesh, from holy time to holy time. Page 24, as Hal leads us in Kiddush Havdalah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, v'romamanu mikol lashon, v'kiddishanu b'mitzvotav. V'atiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'ahava, et yom hazikaron hazeh, Yom Teruah Mikra Kodesh, Zecher Litziat Mitrayim. Ki hivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamid. Udvarcha emet v'kayam la'ad, Baruch atah Adonai. Melech al kol haaretz mekadesh Yisrael, b'yom hazikaron. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavdil ben kodesh lechol, ben or lechoshech, ben Yisrael le'amim, ben yom hashvi l'sheshet yemei hamaseh, בין קדושת שבת לקדושת יום טוב הבדלת. ואת יום השביעי מששת ימי המעשה קידשת. הבדלת וקידשת את עמך ישראל בקדושתך. ברוך אתה אדוני, המבדיל בין קודש לקודש. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Page 25, Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס עולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, ידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך. כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Mourner's Kaddish is on page 26. I invite those observing a yurtzeit or who are in mourning to join together honoring your loved ones. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
V'yalma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute v'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'galav v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach Le'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha barichu, le'ela mekol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Hal and I had a chance to talk to Luis Garcia, who manages all our technology before services began, and we were just delighted to know that the service that Hal and I led Shacharit this morning, which had about 400 screens while we were doing it from 9 to 10, has about 1,600 screens who have seen it total since then, and even more have seen our Torah service and the sermon, and an equal number for Musaf, which was just the word that came to my mind watching Musaf when I got home this morning was sublime. It was just beautiful. So I am delighted by this opportunity we have to come into your homes, to create a community as a network of families, to share the celebration of a new year's beginning. I want to bring out to your attention one of those services that I also watched today, and that was the family service by Carl Cedar. Watch it. You just go to our website, you'll find it. Carl is enormously talented as a musician and as a storyteller. He is the Mr. Rogers of our congregation, and he has lots of creative technology that Josh Friedman, our professional videographer, helped him create. Lots of surprises. It's about a 40-minute service. It's a family service. Check it out. You will be surprised and delighted. In that regard, tomorrow's Musaf, Hal and I will be doing Shacharit from 9 to 10. Then, not unlike today, there will be the Torah service with every aliyah with a different family who's a Torah reader in the family having an aliyah. I'll be teaching tomorrow Psalm 23. If you're congregants, I hope you watched that little email I sent with a 4.5-year-old Amy Robinson reciting by memory Psalm 23 with her little voice and her strong Texas accent. It was really delightful. And to link it with recent events, when I asked Father Greg Boyle, before we did our interview last Saturday night, what his favorite psalm is, he said Psalm 23. That's what I'll be teaching tomorrow. Psalm 23, an antidote to uncertainty. Last, Musaf tomorrow will be very musical, with instruments, with voices. It'll be a hallelujah feel, which is part of our CBI offerings, a once-a-month kind of musical Shabbat experience. So watch it, enjoy it. It's CBI at its best. Anything you want to add, Hal?
No.
All right. So again, Hal's going to lead us now with two closing things. Psalm 27 is recited in his penitential season, appropriately on page 27. Hal will open and close that psalm and then conclude our service with the Yigdal on page 28.
The David Adonai Ori Yishimi Mi Ira Adonai Maos Chayai Bimi Efchad. Lule hamanti lerot betuv Adonai be'eretz chayim, kaveh el Adonai, chazak v'yametz libecha, v'kaveh el Adonai. Yigdal Elohim chai v'yishabach, nimsa ve'enei del mitziuto, echad ve'en yachid, כייחודו נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו. אין לו דמות הגוף ואינו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו. קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון ואין ראשית בראשיתו. הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו אל אנשי סגולתו בתפארתו. לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד, נביא ומעביד את אמונתו. תורת אמת נתן לעמו על יד נביאו נאמן ביתו. לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דעתו, לעולמים לזולתו. צופה ויודע סתרנו, מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו. גומר לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע רע כרשעתו. ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לפתות מחכה קץ ישועתו. מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עדי יד שם תהילתו. מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עדי יד שם תהילתו.
Shana Tova, Hal.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova Tikatevu Utichatemu. May we all be inscribed and sealed for a good year. Amen. This year, our small groups focuses on a book written by my friend and teacher, Dr. Ron Wolfson, The 7 Questions You're Asked in Heaven. We've also put together a booklet with conversation questions. Small groups is your opportunity to join with friends in meaningful conversation. And what you've said to me over the previous 4 small groups is that you have enjoyed deepening your friendships. Join this year as a host or a participant. Listen as Batya Swed, our chair of small groups, gives a little bit more context and then some testimonials of last year's participants.
By joining a synagogue, one becomes part of a community, and with that comes a sense of belonging. Members also seek spiritual, educational, and personal growth.
My small groups were composed of anywhere from 5 to 8 families, and we delved into thoughtful and candid discussions, and we really bonded as a group.
The great thing about the discussion groups was how surprisingly deep everyone got in their conversation.
I'm the great Bubby.
I'm the Bubby.
I'm the daughter.
I'm the daughter of a daughter, or the 4th generation.
For our small group, we gathered 4 generations from our family to learn what it meant to act like and truly become a mensch.
Learning together in our small group was truly an incredible, inspirational, delightful, wonderful, and powerful experience.
Our small group consists of 2 Jews and 4 Catholics. We've been studying for 7 years. We've gone through Rabbi's booklets. We have gotten greater spirituality and insight into our Judaism, and have gotten insights with our Catholic friends who have now recognized the fact that we have more in common than difference.
Hi, we're Colin and Francine Wenhart in Tustin, California.
And I'm Joel Wenhart in New York City.
And we enjoy doing Rabbi Spitz's small group conversations because we get to spend time together, do personal reflection, and explore our Judaism.
Consider hosting a small group this year. Each of our hosts will receive a gift bag with books and the study guide for all your participants and treats for you. This is the time to have a Zoom conversation with friends on a topic that is meaningful and elevating. I look forward to hearing about the success of your group and to being a resource for you.
CBI is a Beit Tefillah, a house of prayer, a place where we come together each week as a community to recite the words in this book, the words that our parents and grandparents and great-great-great-great-grandparents said. This is a place to pray, a place to connect to God and to each other. Since COVID-19 caused us to shut down our in-person services earlier this year, we continue to look for ways to keep connecting and opportunities to pray in community. You can watch Rabbi Spitz and Carl Cedar on the bimah on Friday nights. I love to join you on Shabbat mornings and Chagim. We've done a few Kabbalat Shabbats at home, one with USY and a couple with Hallelujah. It's amazing how many talented musicians are in this community.
CBI Coastal has had the opportunity to produce 2 Torah in the Park services, which was the first time since the health crisis began that members of our community could sing together virtually.
Each week since March, when the shutdown happened, we've had a different family from the greater CBI community lead us in Havdalah every Saturday night. We've been offering weekday minyan on Sunday mornings and Wednesday evenings. Online tefillah is challenging, but it really means a lot to see everyone's faces on the screen. When we do the Ashrei prayer, we typically do it as a call and response. About a month ago, there was a B'nai Mitzvah here in the sanctuary. It was just Rabbi and me and the B'nai Mitzvah family. And when we got to the Ashrei, the family started singing the responses along with the Rabbi. And I got a little verklempt. I didn't realize how much I missed that sound in the sanctuary, the sound of all of us davening together. There's a piece of our Shacharit prayers that says that the angels and Shemayim ask permission from each other before they worship God. Our tradition says that they do this in order to acknowledge their status as a collective, that to pray means to do so together. I love CBI, and I really miss having us all together here. We will be back in this house together, God willing, soon. And what a celebration that will be. Until then, I ask your permission to keep davening these prayers on behalf of our community. And we'll be waiting for you.